Another great 49ers report on tap for you all today, but first, make sure you join us for our watch party on Christmas night. Primetime matchup, Super Bowl 58 preview potentially between the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. We're back on that watch party grind. We hope that you'll be here with us. Kyle Juszczyk autographed jersey, and I'm going to be wearing a Niners Christmas sweater that we're going to raffle away as well. You don't want to miss it. The best place to experience game day outside of being at the actual game. So we're going to open up the floor once again, and we're going to take your questions right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. We begin with Tony Mesa. Are you faithful that we will beat the Ravens? This is going to be a great matchup between these two teams, and I can't wait to see how San Francisco matches up against Baltimore. Baltimore, number one rushing offense in the National Football League. San Francisco is coming off a week in which they gave up 234 rushing yards to Arizona, and they missed 16 tackles. So if they're bad against the run and they miss tackles once again, Baltimore's going to go back to the well, and they're going to run the football, and it's a complex, difficult rushing attack to stop because Lamar Jackson is always a threat to run it, and they can line up with a couple of running backs in that backfield, and they can go every which direction. So those are kind of the threats that the Ravens can pose offensively. And then with this Niners offense, they're averaging more than 30 points per game. At home, averaging 29 points per game. The Baltimore Ravens, best road team in the NFL, and they're giving up only 16 points per game. And they're very, very physical. And sometimes physical defenses, like earlier this year with the Cleveland Browns, can cause a lot of headaches for head coach Kyle Shanahan. So I want to see how Brock Purdy and this offense fare against arguably the best defense in the NFL. But I do think it comes down to a close game, and I do like the Niners to win, Tony. Final score, 26-23. Lyle, a $10 super chat here in Baltimore. They said the biggest thing is to stop McCaffrey and to put pressure on Brock Purdy. The Baltimore Ravens, going to Lyle's point here, number one in the National Football League with sacks, with 50 so far this year. They also have a really good rushing defense. So one of the ways to stop this Niners offense is to stop Christian McCaffrey and to stop the Niners ground game. And if Baltimore is able to do that, that puts the pressure on Brock Purdy to try to win through the air. And this Ravens team, good at the line, really good linebacking core, Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, they're always really, really good in that secondary. Kyle Hamilton's been really good this year, and Marlon Humphrey, a terrific player. Killahunter Ray, do you think the Ravens might be a trap game? I would not classify this as a trap game because it's not a trap game to me because Baltimore is the number one seed in the AFC with an 11-3 record, just like San Francisco. You would never talk about the Niners as a trap game for another opponent, right? Because they're really good. Baltimore's really good. A team like Arizona, trap game. A team like Washington next week, a trap game. You don't talk about some of the elite teams as a trap game. By the way, nice little profile picture right there. That is the 2023 NFC Champs photo for San Francisco. By the way, on the community tab of our YouTube channel, we have gear available for NFC West champions. The link, chatsports.com/NFC West. If you're looking to get a shirt, a hoodie, men, woman, kids, all that available on the community tab, and that link, chatsports.com/NFC West. Our mailbag today is sponsored by Prize Picks. Easy and exciting daily fantasy sports. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America. You pick two or more players. You choose more or less on their projected stat lines, and you have the opportunity to win real money. We're talking real money, and I've won a lot of it so far this football season. Here's an example of how the game is played. Great Thursday night matchup between the Saints and the Rams, right? So, for instance, we have three selections here that we liked for Thursday night football. Taysom Hill, more than a half rushing and receiving yard. Alvin Kamara, more than 53.5 rushing yards. And Matthew Stafford, the pick daddy, throwing a pick, more than a half interception. So that's how the game works. $100 deposit match, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS for that deal to apply. Daywalker, is on deck. Now he's at the plate. 49ers, if it comes to kicking, who do you trust more, the Niners or the Ravens? Well, of course, you have to go with Justin Tucker, who's one of the best place kickers of all time and one of the most clutch kickers of all time, over Jake Moody, who is unproven. The one game-winning opportunity he had, he missed it against the Cleveland Browns. Should have been able to hit that kick. And in turn, San Francisco right now should be 12-2. They shouldn't have lost that game to Cleveland. So I like Tucker, but Jake Moody also has a really good leg. And when he has played in some clutch moments in college, he's hit some really big boy kicks. Doughboy 148. Teams are complaining about being underdogs against the Niners, and they end up getting exposed. I think this Ravens team, too well coached by John Harbaugh, too deep, too talented, too well-rounded, and a little bit too versatile to get exposed by San Francisco. I think this could be one of the more difficult matchups that the Niners face this year. Wet Noodle 187, are you more worried about Jackson in the running game or the passing game against the Niners? I'm more worried about him in the running game, and that's not a slight for him as a passer because I think that Lamar Jackson is actually a really good passer in this league, and he's been for a really long time. You don't win NFL MVP without that. Now, sometimes he lacks touch like Brock Purdy has to that second level because he has such great velocity behind his throws. But the reason why I say running is because you can do everything well against Lamar Jackson, and you can do everything well on the back end. Your coverage can be A+. You can get a great pass rush on Lamar. But if you don't have disciplined pass rush lanes, he can burn you. If you don't have good contain, he can get outside of the pocket and he can burn you. So you can do everything well against a player like Lamar and he can still hurt you. That's why I say that. Speaking of this game, getting a lot of questions about it. Who you got? SF for the Niners, BAL for the Baltimore Ravens. Get those predictions in. I've said all week, 26-23. San Francisco. Daywalker 22. Do you see any coaches leaving us, win or lose, after the Super Bowl? I love the confidence here. You're already saying that the Niners are going to be in the Super Bowl, or are you saying that the coaches leave after the Super Bowl in general? I like the confident approach. I don't think Steve Wilkes gets a head coaching job because I don't think that a lot of teams hire defensive minds these days. They're looking for the next hot commodity as an offensive mind. Now, you might say, well, Chase, what about DeMeco Ryans? DeMeco Ryans is a little bit different. He is a young mind who also came up under Kyle Shanahan, and we've seen that there was an advantage in hiring a guy like DeMeco because he could bring Bobby Slowick, who is the Niners pass game coordinator, as his offensive coordinator. So when you have those Shanahan ties, that's what's really attractive. Now, Wilkes has Shanahan ties, but not really because he's only been with this team for 1 year. And he's a little bit older as well. He's done a good job when he's been an interim head coach like last year with the Carolina Panthers, but I'm not sure if he's going to leave. And I don't think that like a Clint Kubiak or a Clay Kubiak, who are on this Niners staff, who are learning under Kyle Shanahan, are going to get head coaching opportunities. I think the elevation for them would be as a coordinator. Henry, the average Niner fan, and Chris Kocurek, by the way, maybe he becomes a defensive coordinator, but he's paid pretty handsomely as a defensive line coach, and he's been critical to the Niners' success. Henry, the average Niner fan, what other players should we be concerned about signing next year? If you're talking contract extensions, you're looking at giving Aiyuk an extension. You're looking at giving Talanoa Hufanga a contract extension. Deshaun Gibson has not given up a touchdown in coverage this year. He's a little bit older. Do you want to bring him back, or do you want to roll with Hufanga and Jair Brown as your safety tandem? Because Jair has played great ball as a rookie. Mooney Ward might be looking for an extension as well. He'll be entering the third and final year of his contract, and he's only making $13.5 million playing like one of the top corners in the game. Jauan Jennings is a player that you might want to extend. Aaron Banks might be looking for an extension as well. At that point, he'll be entering the final year of his rookie contract, but I think the Niners let that play out a little bit just because they're paying a lot of money to some of the other players on this roster. So those are some players that come to mind. If you didn't get your questions in during this mailbag and you want to hit me up on X, formerly known as Twitter, You can reach me there at Chase_Senior. You can also reach me on Instagram as well at Chase_Senior. Hope to see all of you Christmas night right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report for our Niners-Ravens watch party.